This video is made using AI technology. The information discussed is based on real scientific research. Today, if you need something, you go buy it. Need a jacket? You buy one made in a factory. Need to get somewhere fast? You get in a car. Need food? You walk into a store and pick it off a shelf. Everything is separated. Everything is convenient. You never have to think about where any of it actually came from. But for most of human history, none of that separation existed. Every single animal an ancient human encountered was a potential answer to a dozen different problems at once. Food, clothing, tools, medicine, transportation, even entertainment. And some of these relationships were far stranger than most people realize. So in this video, we are going to break down some of the most unexpected ways ancient humans actually used the animals around them. Not the obvious ones, the strange ones. Let's start with an animal most people would never guess had a medical use: the electric ray. Ancient Roman and Greek physicians documented something remarkable. They discovered that pressing a live torpedo fish, an electric ray capable of generating a real electrical shock, against a patient's body could actually numb pain. Physicians used this method to treat headaches and even gout. Patients would stand in shallow water while a torpedo fish was placed near their feet, receiving mild electric shocks as a form of ancient pain management. This is considered by many historians to be one of the earliest recorded forms of electrotherapy. Nearly 2,000 years before electricity was scientifically understood. Now let's talk about the raven. In several ancient Arctic and Siberian cultures, ravens were treated as something between a survival tool and a spiritual guide. Hunters observed raven behavior closely, because ravens have an extraordinary ability to spot carcasses and struggling animals from far above. Some hunting groups learned to follow the flight patterns of ravens circling an area, leading them directly to wounded prey or fresh kills left by predators. In some cases, this relationship became so reliable that certain cultures developed entire hunting strategies built around watching bird behavior instead of tracking animals directly on the ground. Let's move to something almost nobody expects: the badger. In parts of ancient Europe, badger fur and fat were used extensively. Badger hair was valued for making brushes used in early toolmaking and grooming because of its unique stiff yet flexible bristle structure, a property still used in some traditional shaving brushes today. Badger fat was rendered down and used as a waterproofing agent for leather and wood, helping protect early tools and clothing from moisture in harsh climates. Now here is one that sounds almost unbelievable: the hyena. Archaeological evidence from certain regions in Africa suggests that some ancient human groups may have engaged in complicated relationships with hyenas. Not domestication exactly, but a kind of tense coexistence. Early humans sometimes scavenged kills that hyenas had abandoned, and in return, the presence of human camps sometimes attracted hyenas looking for scraps, creating an uneasy but mutually aware relationship between the two species living in overlapping territory. Let's talk about something surprisingly industrious: the silkworm. In ancient China, as early as 3500 BCE, people discovered that the cocoon of a specific moth larvae could be unwound into an incredibly fine, strong thread. This discovery led to the creation of silk, one of the most valuable materials in the ancient world. The process required immense patience. Thousands of cocoons had to be carefully boiled and unraveled by hand to produce even a small amount of usable thread. Silk eventually became so valuable that entire trade routes, later known as the Silk Road, were built around transporting it across continents. Now let's talk about an animal used in one of the strangest fishing methods in human history: the cormorant. In parts of ancient China and Japan, fishermen trained cormorants, a diving bird with exceptional underwater hunting skill, to catch fish for them. A loose ring was placed around the bird's throat, preventing it from swallowing larger fish while still allowing it to breathe and eat smaller ones. The bird would dive, catch a fish, and return to the fisherman, who would then retrieve the catch directly from the bird's throat. This method was so effective that in certain regions it remained a common fishing practice for centuries. And in some areas of Japan and China, it is still performed today as a traditional cultural practice rather than a primary fishing method. Let's finish with one of the most overlooked working animals in ancient history: the elephant. In parts of ancient India and Southeast Asia, elephants were used for far more than symbolic power. Their immense strength made them essential for hauling massive stone blocks used in temple and monument construction. Long before mechanical cranes existed, elephants were doing the heavy lifting, quite literally, for some of the largest architectural projects in human history. Their intelligence also made them capable of understanding complex commands, allowing handlers to direct precise movements during construction work that required more than just brute strength. Now here is a relationship almost nobody has ever heard of: the honeyguide bird. In parts of East Africa, certain communities developed an actual working partnership with a small wild bird called the greater honeyguide. This bird cannot break open a beehive on its own, but it knows exactly where wild hives are hidden, so it developed a strategy. It leads humans directly to the hive by flying ahead and calling out repeatedly, waiting for the humans to follow. Once the humans break open the hive and take the honey, they leave behind the wax and larvae, which is exactly what the bird wanted in the first place. Researchers have confirmed that some honey hunting communities still use specific calls to communicate with these birds today, making this one of the only known examples of a non-domesticated wild animal actively cooperating with humans purely through mutual benefit, passed down for thousands of years without the bird ever being tamed or captured. Let's talk about the mongoose. In ancient Egypt, mongooses were highly valued for one very specific reason: their natural instinct to kill snakes, including venomous cobras. In a region where snake bites posed a constant threat to both humans and stored grain supplies, a mongoose living near a household or granary functioned as a living security system. Some historical records suggest mongooses were even kept semi-domesticated in certain Egyptian households, valued almost as highly as cats for their pest and predator control abilities. Now here is one that sounds almost too strange to be real: the bat. In several ancient cultures, bat guano, the accumulated droppings found in caves inhabited by large bat colonies, was collected and used as an extremely effective natural fertilizer. Some ancient South American civilizations relied heavily on guano to enrich soil for farming, recognizing its nutrient density centuries before modern chemistry could explain exactly why it worked so well. In certain regions, access to guano-rich caves became so economically important that specific groups controlled and protected these locations as valuable resources. And finally, let's talk about the ferret. Since at least the time of ancient Rome, ferrets were used for a very specific and clever purpose: rabbiting. Their long, thin bodies allowed them to enter rabbit burrows that no human or dog could ever fit into. Once inside, the ferret would chase rabbits out of the burrow directly into nets or waiting hunters positioned at the exits. This method was so effective that ferrets remained a standard hunting tool in parts of Europe for centuries, long before firearms made hunting rabbits significantly easier. So when you really look at it, ancient humans didn't just hunt animals or eat them. They studied them, learned their behavior, and built entire systems of survival, medicine, transportation, and even artistry around understanding creatures most of us barely think about today. Every strange partnership, every unexpected use, all of it came from necessity, from a world where nothing was thrown away and nothing was wasted, where every living creature around you was, in some way, a potential answer to staying alive. I hope you liked the video, because it really took a lot of my time. If you like these types of videos, by clicking on the other videos appearing on the screen right now, you can watch them too. Thanks, bye.